Hi, this is Kurt, the main engineer at Hypnodyne. Today I will explain to you in great detail how to and how not to wear the ZMax sleep monitor. So first things first, you will receive an electrode patch that is protected by a plastic film. You can remove the electrode patch from the plastic film and observe the back of it. There might be small variations as we continue to improve the electrodes, but generally speaking, there are 4 contact surfaces. Here they're light gray color. And on the other side, there are 4 metallic snaps. These 4 metallic snaps fit into the female receptacles, also metallic, on the ZMax sleep monitor. So the first step is to apply the electrode patch to ZMax. The direction doesn't matter. You just have to push each snap into the female receptacle. When you do this, you will hear a snap sound. You will hear a click like that. You should hear 4 clicks. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You should not hear any more clicks after. So if you hear another click while you're pushing somewhere else, it might be that the button is sort of pushing back on the snap. So you don't want that. You want 4 clean snaps, just in case you can push them all again a few times just to make sure. So now we have ensured proper contact between the electrode patch and the ZMax monitor. The second thing that you want to do is find the best place on your head to apply ZMax. Generally speaking, it's this place right here, in the middle of your forehead, but pretty much tilted towards your eyebrows. The reason for that is that, for example, on my forehead, this area here is quite rounded, whereas this area is quite flat. You want to find the flattest portion of your forehead and apply ZMax right there. As you do this, I'm going to show you what it looks like if you put it too low or too high. Now what happens if you put it too high is that the surface is not flat anymore, and so the electrodes at the back are pretty much flat, so it won't like to stay there. And if it's too low, then you will have this lower electrode surface pretty much floating around in the air, so you don't want this flap to be free to move around. You want a flat portion of your forehead where all of the surface area of the electrodes can rest, so that it's flat like this, okay? So not too low, because then you'll have this area exposed, and not too high, because here it's not flat anymore. So you want to put it right here above your eyebrows in the center, okay? Now the next thing is this other contact surface, and that should be on your temple. It's better to put it a little bit tilted towards lower than perfectly horizontal with respect to the ground. So if it's tilted downwards a little bit, that's good, that's fine. And you want to do the same thing on both sides, clearly. Now, if you have hair right here in this position, this sometimes happens for females, and in children, then you want to make sure with your investigator or researcher that you actually received the female/children size electrode, which is just a little bit shorter. But we'll go into that a little bit afterwards. So once this is positioned in this way, then you hold ZMax by the headband and get to this position right here, okay? There's a Velcro in the back, so you can easily tighten it this way, and you're pretty much done, but there are a couple of things that you must pay attention to. For example, you will notice that now the electrode is sort of sticking out from the bottom of the headband. What you want is for the headband to completely cover the electrode in a stable way. That means this way. So I'm going to show you when it's not okay. This would not be okay, because this allows the bottom part to float around, and that's bad. But this, like this, is okay. So you want to look in the mirror and make sure, see, this one is a little bit too high. Okay, like that. The function of the headband is to hold the electrodes in place. So if you superimpose the headband on the electrode surface, that's exactly what we achieve. Now, another thing you might have noticed is that I fastened it a little bit towards the bottom. That is not perfectly horizontal with respect to the ground. It has to be a little bit lower. The reason for that is that if you put it completely horizontal, while you're sleeping, it might slide down. And when it slides down across that section, the section of your head is a little bit smaller. So now it's loose. If I can do this number, it means it's too loose. So what you want to do is tighten it when the back is a little bit towards the bottom. I don't know how well you can see that, but your investigator can also demonstrate that for you. And so now we have all the basics in place. We have all 4 contact surfaces completely making contact with the skin, no floating flaps or parts of the sensing surface that's floating. We have a tightened headband, should be relatively tight. It's better to have it a little bit too tight than a little bit too loose, because you're going to move around in bed, and so if it's even a little bit loose as you move around, it might become dislodged, and then we lost your sleep data. To give you an idea for how tight it should be, you should feel something that's pushing against your head. Not very, very tight, but you should feel it. You should definitely feel it. Okay. Now, in case you have some hair right here near your temples, and even with the female size electrode, it's still a little bit too long, and the electrode surface, I remind you, that's the light gray surface, ends up being situated on top of some hair. That's bad. So in that case, you might want to cut off, just grab a couple of scissors, pair of scissors, and chop off a little bit from here. You can chop off up to a half of this. The idea is you don't want the sensing surface to end up on hair, because the hair is going to push against it at night and make it pop out. You want to have, it's not only important for some part of the gray area to be against your skin, but you don't want to have that portion of the area change. For example, as you breathe and you're moving a little bit, you don't want this thing to become dislodged and then go back down and then come up again, because that's going to affect the signal very, very badly. So, and then I remind you, you don't want this bottom part floating around. You want everything to be as flat as possible. By the way, if the portion of your forehead that you can consider flat is a little bit narrower than mine, it's no problem also using your scissors to chop off just a little bit of the top here from this triangle right here. So if you make it 30% smaller, it's not a problem, just as long as you don't have pieces of it that are either sticking out or not connected to the skin, or that are intermittently connected to the skin. Let's see if I can do it again. Demonstrate once again. Make sure that the headband covers all the contact points. Push a little bit as you begin the recording, just in case the metallic snaps have popped out or anything like that. Push it. Make sure it's not too loose. A little bit too tight is better than a little bit too loose. And you're good to go. These are the basic instructions. Thanks for watching.